Back, everybody, to the Trading Triangle. We're live every week here on Sundays with my friends Sean and Kay. Kay, how you doing this week?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you guys doing today?
I'm doing great. Sean, you doing well?
Yeah, really good. Looking forward to next week. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm feeling it. We got big football game today, of course, and then
Yeah.
trading next week and DraftKings reports Thursday. Right? Had nice trading last week in DraftKings. Hopefully, you guys got in on that. Before we get into the meat of it all, though, real quick disclaimer: this is not financial advice. Of course, we're not financial advisors. We're just three traders, and this is for educational and informational purposes only. So we do appreciate you tuning in every week, and do subscribe and smash the like button. Of course, I got that in there, Sean. I did not
Mhm.
forget. And yeah, we'll get to some charts like we do every week. Great moves in the markets to start the year. I mean, we're into February, well into February, and powering to above 500 for SPY, and it's just been interesting stuff. So let's take a look at the charts and get right into it. All right. So as we always do, take a quick look at how things performed last week. I mean, a lot of great stuff we were talking about beforehand. Some of the nice trades we got in. Any of these names that we traded? I can't remember if we mentioned any of the bigger names. We were talking about things like Marathon Digital and Palantir and whatnot. But did you guys take any profits with some of the names like NVIDIA continuing to power higher?
No, not for me. No, I kind of focus on the smaller caps, like you said. A little bit on Tesla there. Had a good week, 4.6, kind of slowly dripping back up. We've seen that before in the past. So let's hope that continues.
Yeah, Tesla's super interesting. Actually, you posted a trade idea this morning for newsletter subscribers. Yeah, I agree with you. Tesla's that move last week was interesting. What about UK? Anything jumping off the page?
I was actually wondering why ExxonMobil went down because I was in that trade and I was
Yeah,
hoping that my shares will be called out. Apparently, they did not because on Friday they dropped all the way to 101 from 104. So that was not what I was expecting. But yes, Nvidia still in the trade, also long term portfolio. So I'm just gonna sit on Nvidia.
yeah. Eli Lilly, by the way, big move.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
reported right, and yeah, I think you cover. I would agree with you. Energy sector was kind of interesting. I thought energy was kind of on the rebound mode, so I was looking at more upside there. I thought Occidental would have performed better as well, but yeah, a little bit of surprise there. We'll see what happens. Still got some time to move, and still lots of earnings to go, right?
Yeah.
But first, the fear and greed index, as we like to look at, and our performance. So last week, SPY was up 1.64%. The Q's up almost 2%. Diamond's up 0.5%, and IWM, is that right?
Yeah,
Back to
4% for
200.
5 days. Yeah.
We're gonna look at that chart, right, Sean? I think you got that one for us this week.
Yeah,
And
certainly do.
nice, should be good. And then Bitcoin. Why am I not surprised Bitcoin back where it's at?
Because you are in a trade with Mara, that's why.
That's right. That's right. Enjoying the trade in Mara. It's been good. It has been a good start to this year. So happy to see it, but not surprised to see that we're in extreme greed. So do you think we keep pushing farther? What do you think, Sean? You're like, our ultimate optimist here. And that's hard because I'm usually the ultimate optimist. So
Yeah.
what do you think? We keep pushing higher?
I think so. Yeah, I think obviously we say it over and over, don't we? The trend is your friend, and all the time it's going up and
Yep.
making higher highs and higher lows. It's hard not to kind of go against that. What I would say is obviously we've got CPI on Tuesday, which will obviously turn the market either way, just because that's what it does. It's inflation, but we are expecting a two-handle, 2.9%, I believe. So that'll be interesting to see if we can get that, beat that, miss that. That's obviously going to drive the market. So we might see a little bit of anticipation tomorrow. But yeah, I think there's always room for more upside. Let's put it that way.
Yep, I agree. And good call. I mean, yeah, a lot of stuff to pay attention to this week. So it got to be, head on a swivel like always. Okay, you think we're staying in extreme greed, or do you think we pull back?
Uh, I guess I'll hold it off until we see the CPI. But CPI is going to
Yeah,
be a key component. Also, I guess with SPY going over 500, which was a psychological level, I believe maybe the bears are now like, what's time for a pullback since we have hit that psychological level. Question is, how high can we go? Right?
right.
That's always the question on the table. How high can we go? I don't know. No, you don't know. Nobody knows. We can
Got
keep
that.
powering through. We can go down, have a 10% pullback or something like that. But
yeah, absolutely. 10% is not out of the ballpark, right? But we have that nice 501 number on SPY. I really like the 501. It looks good. And we could pull back, just like you said. We're going to look at a few charts here to give you some reason why they're just basically signal signs to take a look at, pay attention to. But like Sean said, and like we constantly say, you don't fight the trend, you trade with it, and then when it turns, then you assess and you adjust, right? And with that, tend to maybe miss a trade or two on that adjustment, but that's fine. That's all part of it. So let's see, earnings. We continue to have tons of names that are of interest. We got Arista Networks Monday, we were just talking about this morning. We got charts on a number of these names. What do you have this week? You have Shopify. What was the other one, Kay?
Datadog. Those are two on my side. I know Sean looks at Robinhood, right?
Yep,
Airbnb, I know we have covered a few times. Looking at Oxy, I'm following Oxy as well, since in the energy sector as well. And I think Coca-Cola is also reporting earnings. Let me see, where is it? Coca-Cola.
Yeah, Tuesday before the bell.
Yeah, Tuesday. So I'm following that as well. I'm in a trade with Coca-Cola. That's on my side though.
How about you, Sean?
Yeah, for me, just Robinhood really. I'm in a trade, as you mentioned, Kay. Obviously, released a video last week, kind of explaining that. It's kind of playing out quite nicely, which is good to see. But obviously, earnings is a binary event, so I'm just considering what to do before Tuesday. Of course, got CPI and Robinhood earnings, so it could be a very interesting day. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. So I'm kind of focusing on that one. But obviously, like you said, you've got DraftKings, Coinbase, kind of on the Thursday as well. Thursday's a big day actually. Got 5 good companies there, almost 6. But yeah, no, looking forward to Robinhood.
Yeah, Tuesday and Thursday really have my honestly, this week's really interesting across the board, right? Monday with the Arista Networks, ANET, ANET. I see Airbnb there. I don't know if you're still trading or interested in Airbnb on Tuesday, Sean, but you got Airbnb in addition to Robinhood. And then I also I'm very interested in Lyft. I'm not in it, but been very interested in it. And Upstart. I mean, Upstart actually looks like it could launch from where it's at here yet again, right? And it's super volatile, and the options are priced accordingly. So not the easiest to trade, but another one to see how it performs around earnings. Shopify, Datadog, like we've got charts on a little bit here, Kay. And then if you want to find two stocks on the opposite ends of the spectrum for me, like I love DraftKings, I cannot stand Coinbase. So that'll be a fun Thursday for me. Definitely looking forward to it. So
I think you have a personal vendetta against Coinbase. I feel
do. Yeah,
it's personal, and that's why I don't trade it. I just like to talk a lot of trash. So we'll keep it that way. And there's chip names, right? So I'm always interested in semiconductors. We got a chart along those lines. Before we get to that, though, let's look at SPY. Mentioned we got above 500 at the nice crossover of the moving averages here, but I highlighted, and I'm really curious your guys' thoughts. If you're feeling like, it's still too early, I kind of feel like it's still too early, but look at RSI, right? Last time when we were powering higher up through the summer of 23, before we hit the 3 months of selling, RSI moved up back to the quote unquote overbought range, but it made a lower high while we were making higher highs of the market, right? That divergence, Sean, that you brought to our attention in other stocks and names a while ago. And it's something I'm continuing to look at since you brought that up. And now we've got, we're at this 500 level for SPY, and we've got this divergence again. That being said, if we push higher, RSI could tick up and actually negate that. So it's not like this is saying we're at a point where we're rolling over by any stretch. But it is interesting to note, something to pay attention to, I think. What do you think, Sean? Is this something that caught your attention?
It wasn't actually, no, and I'm glad you brought it up. I should look at the SPY more and the QQQ more, but I just don't really. But no, I've been trying to make a habit of that. Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, I just kind of assume it's going up, and obviously that's why all the stocks are going up. So a bit of a superficial look at it. No, but yeah, you're right. I should analyze this a bit more. We did have a comment by Stocks After Dark saying we should zoom out, have a look at the larger time frames, and maybe we could do that next week. But generally, my thoughts are,
I like it.
There's got to be a point of retracement at some point, isn't there? It's just kind of working out where that must be. But then the whole kind of thing for that is kind of waiting for the trigger in terms of, so what I'm trying to say here is you've had a top. You're obviously not going to find the top because no one can find the top. But once you've broken the 20-minute average and then you come back up and then hit it as resistance, is that when you enter? So I wanted to kind of ask you guys that kind of question, because me personally, I don't really trade the big indices and on kind of the short side of things. I don't know if you guys do either. But what kind of indicator would you look for? What kind of trigger would you look for the downside?
Okay, you want to take that first? Okay, we got you on mute.
I actually don't trade SPY on this one. I tried. Yeah, I don't trade SPY at all. I stay away from SPY.
So yeah, sure thing. So for me, I do enjoy trading SPY a little bit, and what I would say is I keep it simple. It's basically like how I trade any stock, any chart. What do you see here? Higher highs and higher lows repeatedly, right?
Yep.
So as soon as that trend breaks, as soon as we stop making higher highs and higher lows, that's something worth noting and paying attention to. But it doesn't necessarily mean we're rolling over just yet. But it is where I'm definitely going to get much less aggressive and start looking for breaks of recent lows and see if we start making lower lows and lower highs, right? And actually get that reversal. I like to look at more recently with SPY. I've been looking at the 9 EMA. It's actually on this chart, and you can see, or excuse me, 9 SMA. I switched off the exponential moving averages and just go simple moving averages so I can do the math. And anyways, the 9 SMA here, if it gets below the 9 and then rejects against it and drops lower, that's something else I also look at. There hasn't been a lot of continued selling though recently once it's broken the 9, but it is something that I kind of pay attention to. Again, you need a lot of confluence and a lot of different data points, but hopefully those two things help kind of get your attention.
Then we've got the data point on Tuesday as well, haven't we? So
yeah, see, sometimes too, there's just like a big move. You might get that black swan event or whatever, and then it's like, okay, here we go. Like this is the selling that we've been waiting for, right? Or you might just get what we get last year, right? Some seasonal selling, and it's just totally natural. We had a huge move up through July, and then you get to August, September, October. We, had the selling going off. You have lighter volume, and then volume picks back up, and we, kind of take off towards the end of the year. So it's good to see. It's not like that's how it happens every time, but these are all part of the process. So I'll stop rambling about SPY. Let's take a look at the cues.
Before we jump on,
okay, you got more. What's up?
Yeah, so when are we reporting on Tuesday, right? Which is what? 13th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on the 13th, we have the put to call 1.85 and the hedging on Wednesday as well for 2.09 on SPY. Yes.
So got some hedging going on for sure.
Yes, and then Friday is also 2.09. So
there's K with our options notes. Good stuff. And I see we've got some requests for some tickers. So let's roll through cues real quick so we make sure we have some time at the end. And I love it. You guys keep bringing them in. Shout out to Stocks After Dark. See you out there listening. Appreciate everybody tuning in, listening on either Wolf Financial, on X, or at Trader Nate here on X, or of course on YouTube on the Trading Triangle. Do appreciate you guys subscribing. All right, so let's take a look at the cues. Same kind of setup. I just wanted to highlight the divergence with the RSI here again. And, we're just powering to new highs. Again, I love to see it, but not too much else to say here until we do get maybe a reversal and those, that break a higher highs, higher lows. Anything to add here, guys?
No, not really. Kind of alongside SPY, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah, they really are trading in tandem.
And similar hedging on the 16th for QQQ as well.
Okay. Yep, that all makes sense. I'm really interested to get to the small caps. So, Sean, I think we have that next. I'm going to hand it over to you, and let's get to it. IWM.
So, my kind of thoughts behind this is, so obviously this is small caps, it's kind of the micro caps in the stock market, basically. So, there's a kind of shift that kind of happens generally from kind of big tech and big companies into kind of smaller companies. I don't know if you agree with that. Obviously, I'll get your thoughts in a second. But we might be seeing that a little bit now because you've got a bit of a trend break at the moment. You can see that on the chart. So we have a level of 192 and 199 kind of drawn there, kind of a couple of resistance points. We bounced off really nicely for that 192 level, coinciding with the 20 moving average and the 50 moving average, which is the blue and pink line respectively. So I believe if we can get above this 199 level, come up, retest it, come back down, sorry, retest it, and then make a move up kind of above 204, 206, and obviously go above 208. That'd be fantastic. But generally, the kind of thought process behind this is kind of switching from kind of large caps. They've had their run, that kind of thing. Now it's time to go into lower caps and see what happens. And obviously, if CPI comes in nicely and obviously inflation comes down, you kind of get that kind of switch anyway, I think, in my experience at least. Yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you guys. But my last point is the RSI is looking pretty good as well, looking pretty healthy, shooting up, kind of coming off that 50, moving out, that 50 level, moving up to that kind of 100. And I'm running out of breath because I've talked so fast. So I'm going to hand it over to one of you guys.
I got you. Yeah, so I like the wedge break here for sure. I noticed that as well. Got it on two screens so I can see a little bit larger. So I'm looking off to the side here. But yeah, RSI definitely looks good. And, you know, I didn't even realize we pushed this quickly back to 199. Like that was quite the end of the week last week. And small caps is on everybody's radar. So I do wonder if, you know, we get a break above 200, even above the most recent highs, which, you know, basically call it 208 and push to 210. If there is, and I don't know this for a fact, this is just me speculating, but if there's a lot of money managers waiting, right? Like, oh, okay, you know, small caps are breaking out. They're the ones who haven't performed as well. And so there's this whole catch-up trade and they can get in. I'm totally stealing this. I can't remember where I heard it, to be honest, but I thought it was, you know, this interesting point that there would be money moving into small caps as a part of a catch-up trade. So, yeah, if it gets above 200, I think psych level is going to start to, you know, kick in a little bit. And 210 in particular, you know, I think it might be off to the races a bit. That's if, you know, the positive sentiment keeps. What do you think, Kay?
Right, yeah.
No, I think I agree with you. I think with the SPY and QQQ, especially with SPY, you know, breaching that psychological level, I think a lot more focus. And we even heard that on CNBC and other Bloomberg, a lot of analysts have started talking about IWM, you know, cap. But, you know, if you actually take a little bit of a view for the last 1 month, right? We had this 199 level around the 29th January, right? So it's that wedge where you see the white candle hitting that 199.34. So if you just look at the 1 month, we have higher. I mean, it's almost there. Almost. Would you consider that's the double top now coming in the 1 month? And we are definitely making, you know, higher lows, right? It was lowest on what 17th, and now it's on the 191 on the February 5th. There's still a lot of hold rating on this one. At least looks from the motion of it. So it really depends on how the SPY performs. If Nvidia and the others, they continue to power higher, folks will continue, you know, betting on it, because end of the day, year to date performance of it's still down 68.68, and 1 year it's only up 4.95%. So really, small caps haven't done much in the last 1 year.
Yeah,
it'd be data dependent on Tuesday as well, wouldn't it? So that could be an interesting catalyst.
I would think so, yeah.
Stuff. What else you got, Sean? What's next?
So this week I've got SONOS, and I haven't brought this one up for probably about 9 months, maybe. It just tailed off, and you can kind of see that in the weekly chart on the left side there of the screen. But I kind of like this for an interesting kind of breakout trade. So obviously we've broken out already, and I'm kind of looking for it to kind of calm down a bit and kind of come back down to that retesting point of 1750. So you can see on the right side of the chart, you've got the daily, the smaller section, and that pink line or pink highlighted area is where I wanted to come down to. That's 1750, and that's where I'll be entering the trade, essentially. Thereabouts, of course. And you can kind of see my confluence and kind of thought process kind of on the left side, which is why I kind of made it with all the kind of yellow dots, etc. But they posted really good kind of guidance, kind of in line / slightly above. And they've just posted a really good earnings report last Tuesday. So there's plenty behind this company, and you can kind of see the momentum carry on. My thoughts behind this one is obviously getting to the top of that trend line. You can kind of see it on the weekly there. We bounced off it very cleanly just after the earnings report on the Wednesday, I think. Yeah. And obviously we're seeing a bit of selling pressure as a consequence. So basically what I'm trying to say is entry about 1750, stop loss at 1650, and hoping for a 22% gain all the way up to 2150. Now, this is obviously not the most popular stock in the world, but it is a liquid stock, and I've traded it quite a few times. So yeah, add it to your watch list, do your due diligence, and get involved potentially, of course. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this one.
Is that a bit of a reverse Head and Shoulders? It looks like on the
Oh yeah, I
weekly.
didn't even spot that.
Yeah, right at your
Bit like
1750
that.
now. So yeah, I like it. That could. I mean, that just caught my eye for sure. And then yeah, the resistance for sure is worth noting. But if it holds at 1750 and starts moving higher, yeah, I like this setup too, Sean. And I was wondering, like, hey, yeah, we haven't heard about. I wasn't thinking about it, but when you mentioned this morning, oh yeah, you know, SONO, I was like, oh yeah, it's been a while. I forgot. I haven't been paying attention to this one, so looks interesting.
I'm just looking at the stock from a fundamental standpoint, right? So this quarterly earning, they reported 84 cents on EPS, and the estimate for next quarter is minus 0.28. Their revenue came 612 million. Next quarter is 247 million. It just
That
doesn't
can't be
make,
right.
make any sense. Like,
I mean, the EPS came in at 0.69 over 0.47 on the last quarter.
yeah,
Q4.
0.64 for the gap. But I'm very confused. Why is there such a big difference in the revenue? Like for Q4 2023 September, when they reported 305 million. They reported 612 million on the December 2023, which they just reported. And then for next quarter, they are going back in line for 247. So I'll have to do some more research on this one. Either the numbers are incorrect, but seeking alpha, generally you wouldn't expect the numbers to be varying this much. That's very strange. Never seen these kind of numbers
I
before.
mean, you would expect the Q4 sales to be a lot higher because it's a bit more of a retail play. But yeah, that's a bit of a strange, bit of a
Yeah, like
jump in
300
numbers.
million. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a revenue, 300 million swing.
Interesting. But yeah, that's it for me.
I like it.
Well, unless you want to carry on. So yeah, I kind of post daily trading insights now on X, so follow me over there. And on YouTube, I just released a Neo video today. So I know lots of people follow me for Neo. So there you go, a little bit of a Neo stock update. And that's it for me this week. I'll hand you over to Nate.
Hey, thanks, Sean. And I'm going to keep you up here. Just for those who haven't been familiar, yeah, Sean posts great stuff on Neo, in addition to all the other stocks he covers. So I'm really interested to hear you say that, Sean. And quick shout out to those listening. I want to comment. We aren't able to like reply using what we're using for a streaming service on X just yet. I think that's coming. But we can read everybody's comments. Really appreciate the support out there. Cool dude. Appreciate that you're getting a lot out of this. I saw your comment out there, and yeah, we're here to we're aiming to teach and educate and share what we know, including our mistakes that we make, right, so that you guys can learn from it. So
It should be a lot more.
should we make more mistakes so that people can
Make more
benefit from
mistakes.
it? I don't want to make mistakes. I made good money this week, okay? All right, let's keep it going. Good stuff, though. Appreciate the support out there, you guys. And Josh, I do see Joshua. See that you've got the PD array question on the queues. I don't use PD array. I believe that's tied into ICT, but I don't know if Sean or Kay, if you guys use that or not. But maybe we can tackle that a little bit later. But good stuff, good questions. Keep them coming in. I see the questions on. Check out Stoch, STOCH, and a couple other tickers. So we'll get back to those. I've got AMAT, AMAT here on the screen. That is Applied Materials, semiconductor space. If you've been paying any attention to anything I do, you know I'm in the semiconductor space and constantly trading the names there. And so we've got interesting breakout of the trend channel here. That we've been in for a while, right? 50 days been moving up, providing nice support, and we've been rejecting pretty consistently. And I say we, AMAT has been rejecting pretty consistently against this trend line. Broke above it on a huge move last week. Really interesting that it's ahead of earnings, right? Like that looks like the candle you'd see on a really strong earnings report, right? And so I thought that was interesting. Strong volume on that move, clearly in the overbought territory. So if it kind of holds and then powers higher on earnings, all bets are off. Like I would be really impressed there. And if not, if we get a little bit of a rejection, that's actually probably more where the trade will be at. Because I don't know, if you want to jump in on a big move higher at these extended levels after earnings. But if we get a rejection here and a little bit of a cool down, if it doesn't, sell off really hard and get to the bottom of the channel, it might just get back underneath the upper trend and then give you an opportunity to take a short position. So it's kind of where my head is, but my heart is hoping it goes higher. So what do you think, Sean?
So this one looks a bit like the DraftKings chart I was looking at the other day, kind of peaking up above this channel. So that's interesting to see. Obviously, completely different stocks, of course. But yeah, I'm in agreement with you. I think upside is a little bit of a no trade zone for me. But if we do post kind of negative earnings or misguidance or something like that, coming back down, that's where I kind of have my eyes on the stock on the chart. And that's where the levels will kind of come and play for me. But yeah, nothing really much to add on this. Obviously, RSI is still pretty high. We've got all that volume down in the middle there. So yeah, it's doing very, very well. Do you reckon it's just kind of following like SMCI and that kind of thing, that kind of move that Nvidia's doing?
Yeah. These moves in this space, they're definitely all trying to keep up with Nvidia. It feels like.
But yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts on this one. Yeah, if it comes down, I'll think about it then.
That support level, by the way, if it does sell off hard, in the 50-day might come up and hit right at the same level as 164.21. And so if we do get some selling, that's where I'll be looking to potentially add. What do you think, Kay?
So the implied move on this generally is about 3 to 4%, right? So what is that? 1.824, about $6 you're looking at plus minus, right? That's on the supplied material. I'm looking at their earnings as well. So they have not missed earnings since like 3, 4, 5, 6 last 6 quarters. They have not missed a single revenue or EPS. They have done a beat on all last 6. So assuming this would be the 7th one coming in, they did have a lot of down revisions by the analysts. So I'm not sure if that has to play any role. But I would agree, if you are not already in this trade that you're hoping to pull it off, you would rather wait for the earnings to end and then probably see if it comes back in that channel to trade. I also looked at the put to call. The volatility is pretty high, it's 60%, and expiration is 0.68, but so very positive. There's a lot more call options on this one as opposed to put. So you may get a lot of premiums, especially if you're selling calls.
Very nice.
Right? But if you're buying calls, then you are definitely paying a very rich premium, the cost that you'll be paying from your pocket. So maybe you can do a spread on this one to hedge that, right? Spread could be an opportunity.
Yep, I think that's a good call. I think that those juiced, the juiced premiums are what you're getting at there, right? Kind of offset that.
Yeah. Because most of the charts I'll show are similar like this. Even your RSI is almost like above 70 right now.
Yeah, and that's what it's actually tough to trade. So for those of you that are out there looking for trades and kind of feeling like it's getting harder and harder to find something that looks like a great opportunity, like you might have already missed it. That's what the charts look like right now. Like the majority of them, right, guys? Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but
I agree with you on this one.
Yeah, and I'm trying to come up with trade ideas for newsletter and for my newsletter, and I don't want to put out anything that's super high risk and just to put something out there. So yeah, it's hard to find them, and this one right here I think could set up nicely either way. But like Kay mentioned, the options are expensive, so pay attention to that. All right, keeping it rolling. Another one we got reporting earnings this week. I actually think it's going. It's been going the opposite direction, but I think it's actually ready to break out on a strong report. We'll see. I mean, this is a really clear setup to me. We're days away from earnings, right? It's on Thursday. It's either going to break trend here and move up higher, and I think in a big way, or we're going to get a potential disappointment and a rejection, and it'll just continue back down to the bottom of the trend that it's been trading in pretty nicely here, stopping along the way, right? Like 63 looks like a pretty decent support level. So keep that in mind. But otherwise, yeah, I think Trade Desk needs a really strong report to break above this trend, and it could be a nice breakout trade. Nice volume shelf it'd have to get over though first. What do you think, Sean? Is this a potential candidate for you for a breakout, or is it not quite there?
Oh yes, definitely. Because I looked at this on the slide before we went live, of course. And I thought, oh, okay, I've written this one down already. So that's it's nice to see. But like, I think the implied volatility is quite high. Kay, maybe you'll probably bring that up in a second.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's
mad.
144% right now for the next week.
Nice.
144%. Yeah.
Oh,
it was 60% for the previous one, AMAT.
What's the average kind of move on earnings? I think last time was like 25%.
It's pretty bad. It's close to 15%.
Yeah. So last time I dropped 25%. I don't know if that was guidance. Maybe Nate, you might know a bit more about that than me. But if they kind of sandbag the guidance, of course, if they get a good report this time, then obviously, like you say, it could be off to the races for Trade Desk. But this is definitely on my watch list, that's for sure. And the RSI is pretty good too. So that's a nice one to see.
Yep. I think there's a great setup here potentially. And, like I said, if it rejects, like just wait for the setup, right? Don't get in early and trying to get in cheap on the options. Like that's how you just lose money.
Yeah.
Been there and done that, right? So wait for it to play out. But I do think this is an interesting one. All right, guys. That's me. You can follow me on X at Trader Nate here. I use that handle everywhere, so just look it up anywhere and you'll find me. And on different platforms. But also I write for at Wolf Financial for the weekly newsletter on Sundays. He actually has his newsletter going out throughout the week, but on Sundays you can find my posts. And then, of course, my newsletter, Trader's Education, where I try to share all my learning and knowledge along the way, post daily, and also include some trade ideas for those who upgrade for the whopping $8 a month. All right, guys, that's enough of me. Let's throw it over to Kay. We got some interesting charts here. What do you got this week, Kay?
Thanks, Nate. So we have two, both are reporting earnings on Tuesday. You have both reporting earnings on Thursday. I have both reporting earnings on Tuesday. First one is Shopify. Right. So Shopify, this is a weekly chart. I was thinking of putting together a daily, but I think weekly makes a little bit more sense here because it'll kind of give you the perspective. So for those who have been with Shopify or have invested in Shopify a long time, you probably are down if you invested at the all-time high as of, I forget how much was it, like 170 or something like that, but you would be down almost 50% down from your all-time highs. It's about 812 days. So you've been down for a couple of years now. The earning estimate is the EPS is 0.30 and then revenue is about 2 billion. So it's a pretty solid performance this company has been doing for a long time, like, over 2 billion every quarter you're bringing in. So you're looking at about an annual revenue of about 8 billion. I think for 2024 or 25, they are going to go to about 10 billion. So you have a lot of growth in potential in the revenue side. You can see the volatility very similar to your previous ticker. It's what was 140, it is 136%. So a lot of premium you're getting if you are going to go sell calls or you're going to get involved in buying call options, then you're paying a lot higher price. Now, looking at this one, right, generally the implied move is about $11, $12 you're looking at. So similar to your other previous charts, you can see that there's a very strong candle at this resistance of 90.72. So if they report earnings, we are looking at to the next level, which will be about $106. That could be the next move if the earning breaks. And then if it falls down, we'll have a lot of volume shelf around the 69.70 area. There's a lot of volume that comes in at that point in time. This is on the weekly standpoint. Of course, very similar on the weekly, the RSI is also overbought. Most of the stocks right now that are coming for this earnings, and I looked at a couple stocks, the RSI is pretty much nearly overbought area. Whether you're looking at a daily standpoint or a weekly standpoint, that's how the charts are looking at. Again, I would not get involved in a trade if I don't have already placed. Depends how you like to trade. If I do mostly wheel strategy or options trading, so I generally like to set myself a week or 2 weeks before. But depends if you're doing day trading. Maybe you can do scalping on this one as well. What do you guys think?
This one has made some moves. What do you think, Kay? Excuse me, Sean.
It certainly has. I mean, the 200 moving average coming through there, and obviously it's the weekly as well. So to have that strength to push through the 200 moving average, I think it's really, really good for the company. Obviously, Tuesday. Is it Tuesday you said?
Tuesday, I think before open, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. That'll be interesting to see then, of course, obviously with the CPI on top of that as well. That could be quite iffy. So I've got to wait for that to kind of play out. But if we come down and revisit that kind of 82 level, which is probably around about just under 10%, which is very possible on an earnings report. Looking into the details of the report, obviously don't just go on the price action, look into the details, the fundamentals, whether it looks good or whether it looks bad. Going from there, I think that kind of 200 moving average is where I'd be looking for a bit of support. In terms of resistance, like you said, 106, but yeah, I'm not too sure on the short side. So yeah, that's what I'm going with.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And I think before 106, I've got 99, honestly, which is funny because that's just where the fib level I have works out. But
That's
you
on
think it
the
would be at
weekly,
100.
right? That's on the weekly, right?
It is. No, I'm actually
On the
using the
daily.
daily. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm using the daily and just running a 3-point off of the recent run up and pullback. But then it's been really gradually climbing. It was stuck at 81 for a minute, and then last week took off, right? And so yeah, it's like you said, this is a tough one to trade at this point. But if you're in Shopify, you got to be happy. And I'd be targeting that 106 level 100%. If it does pull back, I'd be looking for 81, 80, that level to hold up. And if it does hold up as nice support, might be a good entry for another trade down the road. But yeah,
Exactly.
Shopify's been looking good.
All right. Next one is Datadog.
Yes.
Do you guys, are you familiar with the company? Do you guys invest in this?
I've traded it recently, but
Okay.
I know I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable as you guys might be. What about you, Sean?
So Datadog, very interesting. So they have actually added couple product features that they were not. So primarily, this is an application monitoring software. So for the audience who are here, basically what it means is that companies with a medium size, small size, large size companies, they have IT systems, and you have websites and you have web-based interactions. So they do application monitoring. So when you have so many applications, which application is up, which application is down, if there is a delay, it tracks that. But that was like the bread and butter of Datadog. What they have done is there are so many other types of tracking that happens. There's a customer experience tracking, basically doing session replays and stuff like that. So they have added all that feature on top of their current feature sets. And what ends up happening is customers that who already own Datadog, the primary buyers of Datadog as an application is IT departments of large enterprises. So what they tend to do is once you already have an application, it's easier to upsell and cross-sell across the businesses rather than trying to get a new customer. It's always more difficult. The acquisition cost is much higher. So just a background of what Datadog does. And it has been on my radar for a long time, and I've just not been able to open a position here. But looking at over here from a chart standpoint, the 138 seems to be the resistance, at least on the 3-point fib that I started using, Nate. But the biggest volume shelf is around this, I believe, around the 122 or something like that. Yes. Yeah, a little bit over just about 122 is the biggest volume shelf we are seeing. This similar to the previous stock, right? The volatility is crazy, 132. RSI is similar, you can see near overbought. And honestly, I think I'm looking for a pullback so I can, initiate a position onward. But from a trading standpoint, I will be probably waiting after the earnings and not like getting before the earnings for Datadog, because there's a lot of enthusiasm, especially in the SaaS world, where now we're back on that page where people have started to invest. And whenever you start getting into the extreme greed, companies like fintechs, SaaS companies, they generally get a little bit more overvalued faster than some of these other big tech companies. So I would wait and watch for the earnings to play out, and then initiate a position if I want see how it plays out from an earnings standpoint.
Do you consider taking a smaller position initially so that if it does take off, you're at least in with a very small position? Is that something you do?
Yeah, I do that, but because I do options a lot, so I generally take positions in multiples of hundreds. So that's why I generally don't start a very small position, especially for stocks that I want to own for a long term.
Nice.
That's just how I trade personally.
What are your thoughts, Sean?
Yeah, I think we've had a little bit of thought process on this live stream today. I think we're all waiting for earnings, which again is actually a pretty good sign. It's showing patience, it's showing kind of due diligence. So you can kind of take a little bit from our thoughts on that side of things, just from a psychological point of view. Waiting for earnings to happen is always a good thing, at least in our opinions, as we've shown today. But as the chart, it looks a bit like a triple top. I'm not too sure if it actually lines up, but in my eyes, it kind of does. I'm just trying to focus on my eyes, but Are we looking at about a triple top around about that
If you look at
137
the
line?
second, yeah, if you look at the second one, that's almost pretty much near, just below, a little bit above 134, maybe 136 it is in. So that if
Okay,
you
maybe a bit
consider
more
that
of
as
a
the
double
first
top then.
stop, second one is 138.54, third one is almost there.
All right. But yeah, I mean, for me, obviously, you're probably going to predict what I'm looking for, and that's a breakout trade. So that kind of 138 level, if you can go above that, come back down, retest it, that's the entry point. Nice tight stop loss, and then move up from there. But you know my process. That's what I'm looking for.
I love to hear that. I love it. And shout out, by the way, we got Paper Gains in the audience, and he's mentioning. You guys remember what I picked for last year?
Oh yeah. There it is.
Snowflake.
Snow, baby. And shout out to Paper Gains bringing up snow in the chat. Love to see it. Yeah, so I like these names here, by the way, Kay. I'm glad that you're constantly bringing these up week after week because they're, part of a big part of what, I don't know, this sounds cheesy, but it's part of the future, right? Like that's what we're talking about. And like, these stocks and these companies that are going to be a big part or potentially can play a big part in how we, proceed moving forward. There's a lot of potential upside. So yeah, I'm a big fan of snow. DDOG I had as a trade opportunity recently, and I like what Sean said about waiting for the breakout and retest around 138, 138.50, somewhere in that range. That's where my head would be too. Good stuff, Kay. Where do we find you?
Well, so I am also on Twitter or X, whichever you like, the preference, as InvestK. And then I do have a YouTube channel, so definitely subscribe there if you like to see stock analysis. And I do post my trades as well. And I do write on Substack as well. So there you go. All 3 channels.
Thanks, Kay. And by the way, you guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the Trading Triangle, but also subscribe to Kay's YouTube channel and Sean's. They put out great stuff, individual stock coverage, all kinds of stuff. So do not miss out on that. And I think that's all of our charts for the week. I am excited to get back to trading. First, you got the big game today. Don't get me wrong. I want to get after that. And then, get back to the charts and focus on trading next week. Appreciate everybody that's tuned in. And, my final thoughts here, and hear from you guys, of course, before we close out is don't force anything. Like that's where my head's at right now. I'm obviously been smiling this entire freaking live stream because it's been a good start to the year. And like, I'm really happy about how things are going. But that doesn't mean I'm just going to jump into every trade like Monday morning to start the week. It's actually the opposite because I'm a little bit too excited and too, positive. So I'm going to be making sure I don't force it, make sure I find the clean setups, A+ setups, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's where my head's at. What about you, Sean? You have similar sentiment or different thoughts this week?
Exactly right. Yeah, it's been a pretty hectic last couple of weeks. So I'm actually looking to take the week off entirely. I've got a very busy week planned outside of trading. So it kind of helps me kind of lose that momentum, if that makes sense. And obviously come back next week, fit and firing, as they say. I don't know if we're going to look at some audience requests. Have we got time for that? Or
we do. Good call. We'll make sure we have some time here at the end. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, but that's it for me. Just kind of more of sitting on the sidelines, like you say, waiting, and also just taking profits as well. I mean, there's no harm in taking profits at these levels. It's obviously SPY and QQQ going up, and obviously Palantir we saw on Monday rocketing up to high levels. So there's no harm in taking profits at all. That's what I've been doing anyway.
What about you, Kay? You taking profits?
Well, yes, I am taking profits and I'm taking losses as well. But pretty much you guys covered all the sentiments, right? I think trading earnings is definitely a gamble, right? I mean, it's a binary event. It could go either way. It could go opposite to your and don't force trades. A lot of times, like if you are trading earnings, you got to have that set up early and not on the day off. Especially if you're doing, if it's opening before that. Like we took a trade on SoFi because they were reporting Monday early morning. We had that set up a week before going into earnings. So sometimes when you are doing earnings play, it's not just the how the chart looks like. You have to look at other data points as well, how they have been reporting earnings for a while. So you got to take those into account as well for your trade. So yeah.
I love it. And, we do talk a lot about trading the weeks leading up to earnings rather than the actual earnings event. And so I know a lot of our charts have been on stocks that are reporting current week. But yeah, that is something to keep in mind. Like DraftKings last week, I traded, did real well. I didn't want to be in it this week because quite frankly, the options expire Friday and they report Thursday, and you know the premiums just went through the roof. So last week was the trade, worked out really well. And yeah, let's look at actually a couple of other names here really quick. We got a couple requests out there. And yeah, again, shout out to the support. Keith Smiling, see you out there. Thanks for the hand wave. Appreciate Cool Dudes. Cool Dudes comments. He's asking about Neo, Sean. So I'm going to say tune into Sean's coverage here on his YouTube channel. Definitely, there's lots of coverage there, and he'll keep you up to speed. And then I'm also going to toss one over to Kay. Kay, I think you said you're going to be covering this week. Was it DataDog you're going to drop a video on? Is that right?
Yes. DataDog will be post earnings. I will do that DataDog analysis. So based on how we are seeing the chart, after they report earnings, there'll be a video on that as well.
We had a question about Palantir, and I know Sean, you traded Palantir nicely. Do you have any thoughts here at where we're at, or is this kind of waiting to see what happens at this point because the trade's behind us? What are your thoughts?
I mean, trading is a strong word. I did play a little bit of the earnings, I must be honest. But I was rewarded handsomely, of course. But this one, yeah, definitely staying away from. It's reaching to the top of the channel, which I've got here, obviously around 25. So just got to let it cool out. I'm looking for about 19 for it to kind of pull back to. Not anytime soon, but just over the next couple of months, see if it kind of trails back, after a long extended move. But of course, it could just keep going. And if that happens, that's also good. But yeah, I'm kind of looking for it to kind of come back down, calm down a little bit. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Palantir. But yeah, I got very lucky, I suppose.
Nice. No, it's good. I would rather be lucky than good, right? And you also have skills, so don't sell yourself short there, Sean. And then CrowdStrike was another name. Kay, I can't remember. Have you brought up CrowdStrike? I mean, are you big on?
We covered CrowdStrike long time back, but
It's been a while.
Yeah, we haven't done that. We have mostly focused on the semis, energy, Tesla, Neo, Apple, the big techs. We have not done CrowdStrike in a while now.
Yeah, so what I'll say is I like both CrowdStrike and Palo Alto networks. Like both are basically direct competitors, and I don't have a ton to say about both other than just they're both trending so nicely. Watch the 20-day moving average, look for a break potentially, but I wouldn't fight it here, and I also wouldn't dive in full port either. You got a topping candle on Friday with a nice spinning top basically for CrowdStrike. So maybe we get a pullback, and if the 20-day supports or the 50-day, might pull back the 50-day, which would be more near 280 for the actual price there, 280 for CrowdStrike. That might be a place where we find support, and if you want to look for an upside trade, but right here it's a little extended, so for my taste, and that's just kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean the setup is not there for trading on this one. I mean, you may buy it at this price, and price may still keep going up, but from any chart pattern, I don't see how you would want to get in at these prices at all-time high. Both on daily and weekly, we are the RSI is crazy.
Shout out to paper again. I'm going to throw this at OKTA, OKTA. That's another one we've
do you remember whose stock was that for? Yeah.
Sounds familiar, Kay.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you take a look
at I only have modest growth on that one. I'm only expecting 35% or 40%, unlike you guys 50+%. So
yeah, mine's going really well.
You're winning so far.
No,
I love it.
Not. So I did want to bring up. Sorry, I did want to bring up Grab as well, which is the Southeast Asia of Uber. I know that because I've been in one, and they're very, very efficient as they would be. Obviously, ride sharing platform. But looking at the chart, it looks like we've got a big kind of $4 level. I don't know if you can bring it up and have a look at it as well. But the big $4 level is massive resistance, and we've also got room to run to get there. If that makes sense. It's probably around about 60% to that point. So what your kind of risk levels are, what your risk tolerance is, just be mindful of that kind of stock, stick it on your watch list, and just kind of do your due diligence, as I said earlier. Look at the lower time frames to get you pinpoint your entry. But it looks like you're kind of breaking out a bit of a trend. That makes sense, a bit of a wedge, breaking out at least on a weekly. What I've got up here. So yeah, keep your eyes on that one. It looks good. It's very good.
Yeah, it looks like it's broken trend. Grab, GRAB, definitely, and a really nice candle last Friday, pushing higher there. And yeah, that's an interesting one. I usually don't trade these that are too far below $5. Like SoFi is one of the names in that area, but otherwise, I stay away. But this one's interesting. And Night Trader, shout out to Night Trader for bringing this to our attention. It's good stuff.
And don't forget Celsius from Night Trader.
Yes, of course, he's a big fan. All right, one more. Let's get one more in here. We've got. Oh, did I? Maybe not. Maybe it was a typo. Just kidding. All right. Never mind. I didn't have any more, but that was good stuff, guys. And let's see. So OKTA looks interesting. We mentioned Snow. Shout out to Snow, looking good. Snow, I gotta win this contest for the year because I do not think I'm gonna win the price level contest for SPY. You guys are gonna crush me on that. All right, guys. It's been a fun week. Let's wrap it up. Thanks everybody for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe to the Trading Triangle on YouTube. Thanks for tuning in at Trader Nate here and at Wolf Financial on X. And be sure to give Sean and Kay a follow if you haven't already. And we'll catch you next week. As we always do, enjoy the game and have a great week of trading, guys.
Take care, guys.